We are now going to move into the general question and answer session, but I think seeing the amount of questions that we have already received, we will still do it a little bit by speaker. So I will go back to Alexei. A lot of your questions were already answered in the chat box, but I see that you have two left related to the selection of services. One was about how you are ensuring a fair competition, and the others are, is the idea to provide microservices on demand, or do you learning the actual services from the citizens' need, or are you proactively offering some standard service? So that's again about service selections. There was a third one about a GDPR, but maybe let's stick with the service selection for now, if you would like to answer those two.
Yeah, thanks. Great questions. First of all, about how we ensure these markets, that is a huge question, and we are just like trying to figure out that. So we need like both. We need orchestration, and we also need like choreographed way how these services interact and how they are emerged for people. So for example, if you go to Google and try to find stuff, Google makes the decision of what are the top 10 websites and the best hits for your question. So we have the same challenge here. So how we are really introducing these service ecosystems based on the people's real needs. So we need a very different kind of way to attract these services, and also there are also of course some mandatory services. For example, if you are divorcing, then you need like 3 or 4 mandatory or public services where you need to register something or try to make some other things based on this life event. So these mandatory issues should be orchestrated, right? But then if you are willing to provide any kind of private sector services that should help you in this life event, then these, first of all, we need to find these services who are willing to provide their services for these people, and after that we will have different kind of incentive models that we are looking after based on these technological issues, for example this cryptocurrency or token economy, and also some sort of an suggesting mechanisms should be emerged as well. So people themselves should have the power to give feedback for these services, what made a difference and what not. So eventually people themselves should decide whether or not they are using some services. That was maybe the one kind of an answer of the question. What was the other question?
Both questions were related to service selections. The other one was how are you ensuring a fair competition?
Yeah, that was the fair competition. We don't know yet how this fair competition emerges, but basically we should be provide real digital single market for actually for any nation, or for example if some organization from Slovenia, for example, would like to provide service for Finnish citizens in this live event, that should be okay in Aurora AI network if this Slovenian company holds the same ethical baseline to utilize my data in their own services. So we are heading to the fair competition, of course. Without that, we cannot make real economical growth and real competition. We cannot like control the markets. We are just trying to control the ethical considerations and GDPR and legislational perspective and fundamental issues based on that. But when it comes to the competition, people should be in charge of that.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's have another question for Japan, Kenji. And a very interesting one was about the reception of artificial intelligence in Japanese municipalities. Do they see this as a positive thing, or is it perceived as being rather scary?
Okay. Hello, my name is Hiroki. I will answer this question.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. So actually, many people feel positive about the utilization of AI because before this project, many public services are done by paper or physical meeting with public officers, and there are a lot of troublesome works for them. So therefore, people feel it is more convenient than before because of that. So I think this is positive for many municipal people also.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And now let's do another question for Tajat. There was one about data bias and how do you properly sanitize your data?
Our system is basically functioning as a pipeline connecting data sources and data users. The quality of data is ensured on the data source, and the interpretation of the data is ensured in the client side. We, of course, pipeline tries to neutralize technical disturbances and rejects the answers that are not compliant with the structure that is agreed. So technical validation is ensured, but the central building blocks in principle do not interfere with the contents of the data. So we are in a way blind postmen, ensuring the service of delivering the data to the user.
Okay, thanks. There was one question in the chat box that probably was meant to be a little bit provocative, but I also kind of like it. How do you all define AI? Maybe we could do the tour de table, that each of us gives a one-sentence definition of artificial intelligence.
Great, that was great question because actually we have a lot of different kind of AI activities inside this Aurora AI initiative. I wasn't talking about this AI too much because the basic narrative is human centricity. But we have been utilized AI, for example, when we have been doing this cluster analysis. So we have lots of different kind of data around from perspective of these people that are really forming the image or digital twin as we are talking about, and we have been clustered this data with the help of AI, and that is one way that we have been utilized AI, and there are also a company, actually two companies. One of those are a company called HeadEye. It's like head.ai, and you can actually go to their website and see these case studies of how they are utilizing AI in this Aurora AI concept as a whole. So they have been built with the help of AI, the digital twin, actually 3 digital twins from perspective of people, from perspective of labor markets, and from perspective of need of people in the labor markets. And through these models, we have been made a real-time models for people or citizens that are seeking the best fit new job offering in the labor markets. And that is just another example about how we have been utilized AI. But that is inside in those companies that are involved in this Aurora AI project.
Okay, thank you very much. Kenji and Hiroki, would you also like to provide your definition of what is AI to you?
Okay, so I will answer this question. So I think AI will substitute workforce by optimizing the data. So because we are using AI to make our work more efficient, and also we try to create high value for the people. So because so I think, yeah, we are using AI for making our life better. So this is our definition.
Yeah, and AI gather our knowledge and experiences. So I think AI is a future friend of us. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. And finally, Tajek, your definition of AI.
Yes, we understand that at this point of time, the intelligence is not comparable to human intelligence, of course, but there are many phases of artificial intelligence, and machine learning is one of these phases. Besides machine learning, we can do image recognition, we can do machine translation, we can do for example, question answering and different tasks, but in practice, in our system, we are using it for automating routine tasks that the machine is doing better than humans. So we try to help humans to focus on what they are better for interpretation and for using the data that they are getting through our pipeline.
Okay, thank you. Now the questions are arriving faster than I can mentally really process them all, but I was seeing another very interesting one posed to all three of you in the chat box, whether there is a reaction or concerns from public servants regarding the transformation of their jobs. Maybe we go in reverse order now, and Tajek, you still have the word. Have you had any reactions from civil servants worried about AI taking their jobs?
Not until now, because our system, as I have said, is a very technical solution running in the background, so our public servants do not feel that it exists. So this solution will not transform the jobs of public servants, but maybe sometimes in the future, who knows?
Indeed, this probably applies more to the other two projects that have been presented. So Kenji and Hiroki, I think you commented already a bit on reception. How is the reaction from public servants in Japan to artificial intelligence?
So actually, we have positive feelings about introduction of AI, and however, from the public servant's point of view, we are scarce of human talents inside the government if we want to introduce this kind of new technologies. So as you know, so government officers' salary is lower than private sectors. So in that case, it is very hard to hire new talents from outside who can utilize this kind of new technology. So I think that is one of the challenges for us. And the other point is that we need to educate existing public officers to understand how these kinds of technologies are working inside the government to make our work more efficient. So this is another issue for us.
Okay, thank you. And you also already commented on another question that's upcoming about the difficulty of finding the appropriate talent. Final word to Alexei. What's the reaction to AI from civil servants?
I believe people are very, very excited about the possibilities that AI and actually smart services in general would provide. So, of course, we need to understand that AI is just like 5 years ago. Nobody talked about AI. We talked about machine learning and etc. So this is like a narrative that have risen from, for example, some companies' slide decks, but that really doesn't matter. These people are very interested to push technological adaptation in their own working, and they are really willing to lose their mandatory not so interested works, because we do have a lot of work still to do. so we can put more emphasis on real places where humanity holds their own value. So people aren't willing to deal with the mechanical issues.
Okay, thank you very much. Meanwhile, the discussion has been going on in the chat box about finding experts and about the importance of education. So let me contribute myself. The other day I read that alone in Brussels they are looking for 16,000 people with knowledge related to AI. So apparently there is a big demand. But the final word goes to Fidel to summarize the webinar, drawing some conclusions.
Thank you, Susanne, and indeed thank you to everybody for your participation. I hope this webinar has been interesting to you. We have explored how artificial intelligence and public administration have many links. The first speaker, Alexei, thank you so much, has presented a very comprehensive view of the impact on AI on public services in Finland. Then our colleagues from Japan, Kenji and Hiroki, thanks to you too, have provided some very promising use cases and example of what is being tested or implemented right now there, and the challenges that they are considering or finding when deploying AI. And last but not least, thanks Tadek. He has a very interesting use case of how artificial intelligence is supporting the very basic exchange of data, a fundamental enabler to public services today, and how indeed this could become a building block for other uses in the near future. And of course, an enabler, sometimes a driver in all these developments, is metadata, on how we can model meaning, which is so important for us, for this community. Again, thanks to all speakers and participants. I hope to see you in the next SEMIC webinar. And talking about that, I hope you have on your screen, and I hope that in the chat as well, a link to the satisfaction survey on this webinar. One question there is precisely about what webinars would you like we to organize. So don't be shy and share with us your ideas. And I also would like to mention what also our colleague Miguel said in the chat. He is organizing a webinar tomorrow precisely about how to model public services, and also a taxonomy around public services and live events. You should also be able to find more information in the chat, and if you go to join up, you will also have all the information on that webinar. That said, then again, thank you everybody, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.